Live from Atlanta, Georgia. My name is Charlie Maverick. It is the 21st of June, 2014. This is the MavCast. So, I'd like to welcome you back to the show. For all you guys that are wondering what happened, thought the show was over, thought I lost interest in doing tech stuff, went on a hiatus for a couple of weeks, and you thought the love was lost. And those of you that missed me, I would like to say thank you for missing me, and I am back to talk about tech. I have taken a stronghold back on the show. I've gotten away from what I really meant for the purpose of the show in the last few months, and I want to say I am sorry. I get back to the basics. I want to get back to what made the show, and I want to show love to those people that have been loyal since day one, those people abroad that have been listening and watching the show, listening to the show on iTunes and watching the show on YouTube. First time listeners, I just want to let you know that the MavCast is a tech focused show that is going to be talking about things that go on currently in the news and things that I want to talk about, maybe educational things also that might need to be given to you so you can be better equipped to have your purchases made and spend your money more correctly and efficiently. So, with that being said, welcome to the show. Now, I just want to talk about this summer so far. This summer so far is crazy. Like, the summer right now, as it is in June, feels like late August of last year. And I think last year we kind of got spoiled by the low humidity from last year, and I think it was the fact that we had a whole bunch of rain too, which is crazy because we had more rain and thunderstorms last year, but it was actually a lot less humid, I should say, in the way of the weather, and it was more bearable. Of course, you had some days that were, we were in a heat wave for a short amount of time last year, and you just you just got to deal with that. But for the most part, cumulatively, big picture wise, the summer last year was a lot better starting off. At least now, I remember in June, it still felt like April, and it was all good. But it is freaking hot now. It is hot. I'm talking about. I moved from Charleston to Atlanta, and I was like, yeah, the humidity's lower. People, it's not like that steamy sauna feeling like you're in Charleston summers. So I was like, it feels good out here. It feels amazing. It feels amazing in Atlanta. And I remember back in the day when I used to visit during the summers, and I and I recall why they called it Hot Atlanta. And I was like, then I went back to Charleston full time. I haven't been back to Atlanta for a while, and I was like, well, Charleston is freaking hot. Charleston, South Carolina is freaking hot. And when I came back here, moved the last summers that I were here, it wasn't hot. It was hot, but it wasn't hot hot. There's a difference between hot and hot hot. Hot, you're like, ooh, it's uncomfortable. Hot hot is like, I'm gonna wait till the sun goes down to do some stuff, right? So you're like, I really want to go to this festival, but I don't want to pass out. I really want to go for a walk, but I really don't want to take 3 showers a day. 2 showers is like crazy. 1 shower is mandatory. But when you get into taking 3+ showers a day, you're like, it is too dang hot. And it's not the dry heat that some people have the people have in the Midwest and in the West. It's that humidity, and the humidity is here, and you're like, dude, it feels like a sauna. And I don't know if you've felt that way. Like, I've been in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Florida. I've been everywhere in the South traveling, Biloxi, Mississippi, Alabama, uh, all that, and it's humid. It's just so freaking humid. Then it brings the thunderstorms, of course, in the evening. So you got pop-up storms. Meteorologists don't even know when the storms are coming up. They're like, well, we're looking at the radar, we don't see it. Just be prepared for a pop-up storm because the heat and humidity is going to produce a storm, and you don't know when it's going to come. So you plan outside events, and when you purchase tickets for the outside events during the summer, and they know the climate historically, they're like, rain or shine, this is going to take place. So if it rains, please do not come to us asking for a refund because we're not going to give it to you. It's just not going to happen. So with that being said, this summer so far is killing me, killing me inside. Like I really want to do stuff, uh, but it's so hot. It is so freaking hot. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Hey, I know some people on the 6th of June were trying to listen on iTunes to the podcast. Then I got to do some editing down, split it in two parts because that show almost went 2 hours. And of course, the file size was too large to upload to iTunes, so I'm gonna have to split it in two parts so you guys can listen to that show. That was a good show. Jimbo Banks was on there, the host of Jimbo Knows. Be sure to watch his show, subscribe to his YouTube channel, and subscribe to Living Room Productions podcast channel community on Google Plus. Well, first, before I get into T-Mobile and before I get into the Amazon Fire Phone, which is at the top of the news this week, I really want to give my account of how I feel about my most recent purchase in tech, and that would be the Chromebook, Acer Chromebook C720p. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, you got a Chromebook? That's a netbook. That's a new age netbook." And I'm here to tell you through my experience. Like, let me back up a little bit. So, a year and a half ago, I had the Samsung Series 7 Chromebook, which was the first really mainstream Chromebook that was on the market. And it was good. It was slim. It looked like a MacBook Air by design. And after that, it was basically the best thing about it. The trackpad was good. The clickiness of the keys were good. The battery life was eh. The battery life was just like a regular laptop, which was supposed to be one of the benefits of having a Chromebook is you have long battery life. It's supposed to be 6 hours. I got 4. So whatever. And the processing speed wasn't there. Like you don't need a lot of processing speed for Chrome OS, but an ARM processor does not do it. You need some type of processing speed to go in. And a lot of people are like, well, why don't you get like, RAM? Let's get some RAM. Let's get some real processing speed. Well, I think it was just the optimization of the OS versus the hardware that, threw some hiccups. A lot of people still love that Chromebook, but me, I took it back after a week and I wasn't impressed with it. But I still advocated for Chromebooks because of the fact that Chromebooks will give you security, constant support with updates with the Chrome OS. It's lightweight. It's supposed to have good battery life, and I'll get into that with the C720p from Acer. And it's supposed to just give you that quick boot up and everything so you can get stuff done. The criticisms with it in the past were that you can't use it offline. They have fixed that since a year and a half ago. And now you can. There's a bunch of offline apps that you can use. I have a DJ app that I use. I have a audio editing app that I use that I'm going to use to split up the last MavCast podcast on iTunes, and a lot of all the other stuff like word processing and all that. You can do all that offline. It saves to the actual memory, local memory, and then once you get connected to the internet, it backs it up on Google Drive. Along with speaking of like space, it gives you 100 gigs of cloud storage on Google Drive for 2 years. So I still have that from the Samsung model, so I couldn't redeem another one. So when that year is passed, or those 2 years have passed, I can kind of like, you know, prorate the actual activation of the 100 gigs. So here's what I used to have. This big, clunky, today looking laptop is HP Pavilion. What is it? C60. Yeah. So, oh, it's a G60. So at the time when I got this, this was a good laptop. It had HDMI ports, it had an HD screen, it had all the ports that you need and all that. That's everything. It was bad ass. So it had the keyboard, and I know people have the keyboards, the black keys on the keyboards that as soon as you use them after a month, they rub off and they look like you had them for like 3 years. But the selling point of this one is the silver keys that did not show any age to them, which I love that. So I kept that going for a long time, and I kept it in possession for a really, really, really long time. Windows after a while got sluggish, and you do certain things on your computer and it bogs it down over time. You click on some stuff like I just want to say if downloading the audio from the YouTube videos and uploading to iTunes, you have to go to this site that has a few pop-ups and you get viruses from it. Remember I was trying to download that Beyonce CD, got a virus and it never was the same. I mean, it's Windows, whatever. So I went at the end of my rope. I went and got a Chromebook, and I did a lot of research. I did a lot of research about this and a lot of debating. Do I really want a Chromebook? My first venture into the Chromebook was not that pleasant. So I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna try again. I really want a touch screen, right? Because that's what you want out of a computer. The Windows computers have touch screens, but I don't want Windows 8 because I hate Windows. If I have to use Windows, I use Windows. But I don't want to use Windows, right? So I went and got the C720p from Acer, and this is how the bad boy looks. Nice and light. If you see the fan right here, my whole thing. And let me back up a little bit before I get. I hope I don't eat up too much time of this, but audio listeners, I do apologize, but you see the fan placement on this, which was a major manufacturing flaw. I hate that because it always overheated. With the way you flip this open, the screen panel would always cover that. Let me open it up here. This big heavy thing. It always covers that, or it is on the table, so it can't breathe. That hindered performance also. With this one, and I can just pick this up and just go all willy-nilly about it. I don't have to lift weights. I don't have to train. So you see this, the way that I don't know if you can see it, but the way the fan is, it goes in front of the screen so it can have breathing room. And that was a major selling point also. Lightweight, just log in. It's beautiful, right? So I just want to say that the Chromebook, I love it. I'm going to continue to use it. And I encourage anyone that is debating on getting a new laptop or anything for the home to go ahead and try it out. It has HDMI port on here also. Has a USB 3 port. What else does it have? SD card slot, 2 USB ports, headphone jack. And it's just awesome. It is touchscreen also, and the touchscreen works well. So let's get into the Amazon stuff. So for a couple of years now, we've been hearing about speculation and all this anticipation that Amazon was going to come out with their smartphone. Why did we think that? Well, first, they came out with the Fire OS. And they had the Kindle Fire HD, and the many variations of such. And they had the new Kindle Fire, the Fire TV. They had the Fire TV with the Fire OS. And before all that, they had the Amazon App Store, which ran Android apps. And we're all wondering what is going to happen with this App Store. What is really going to go on with this App Store? What is the purpose of having a redundancy on Android? Because that's all it was on. It was on Android before it was on a Kindle Fire. And we were sitting there wondering, and it was okay because they had the free app of the day and it was all good. But what was the true purpose? What was the purpose of this redundancy? And then they came up with the Kindle Fire, and we saw, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. You can get some Android apps on here. It was a fork version of Android, which everybody was really doing. And you can purchase your books, you can get some apps, play some games, and it was all good. And people started to take it seriously because it was low price tablet, and it was before the Nexus 7s came out, and it covered everything that you needed in terms of having your Prime membership. So you got the apps, you got the books, you got the movies, whatever music that they had out a little bit, and you used to use the Kindle Fire for that. Nobody took the first Kindle Fire seriously. When the Kindle Fire HD came out, then people started to look at it like, oh wow, this has a really high pixel um, ratio with the screen, so let's take it seriously. And the promotion went up, and then the store grew, and then it seemed like there was legs being established with this, and it started to go run, and then we saw the Fire TV come out with Fire OS, and we're like, okay, well, you can do the apps, the games, and the movies and shows with your Prime membership. And we're like, okay, so this is starting to make sense. Now everything is starting to solidify. So the rumors went higher, higher. And we had rumors that this phone was going to come out this summer. Now, of course, the last couple of years, we heard the same thing. So no one really took it seriously. The anticipation came up. People were under embargo, so those that knew couldn't say anything, or so they had to play dumb, and the whole thing was really held down secretly. Now, when the spring started to come out, when the spring came, rather, then you saw some spec leaks, or what people thought were spec leaks, and we saw that there was going to be a whole bunch of cameras on this phone. It was going to be a 3D phone, and we didn't know what the heck was going on, right? We really didn't know what the heck was going on. We seen a 3D phone before in the HTC Evo 3D, and that failed miserably. It gave people headaches. We saw how people were getting nauseous with iOS 7, and let me just say, I still use iOS 7, and you have to tone down the background, the parallax view. It's called parallax view if you didn't know. But you can still see the motion. It doesn't make me nauseous anymore, but you have to turn it down. If you have it all the way up, it's still gonna make you nauseous. But that's not a 3D thing. It's just a layer upon layer. It makes you feel like the screen is moving, but it's not. But it's not coming out at you, so it's not 3D. Okay. Anyway, and people really didn't care about that. A lot of people turn it off. It's not a big deal anymore. It's not really of any use. It just looks good, right? And we were wondering what the heck was Amazon gonna do with the 3D phone, right? What are they gonna do with a 3D phone if they come out with it? This is the dumbest idea ever. You see, everybody else failed at it, but you wanted to go ahead and do it anyway. Well, that was correct. That rumor was correct. So this past week, we saw the unveiling of the Amazon Fire Phone. Now, the Amazon Fire Phone is an exclusive to AT&T. And this phone basically has 2 gigs of RAM, so a lot of people are like, yeah, I don't want to get a phone today that doesn't have at least 3 gigs because, why not? People are used to Samsung phones having beast specs, and then the HTC One M8 has a beast spec. Then everything else is assumed to be followed with beast specs. So why not? People have a standard that they have to go by now. And they were like, well, it has only 2 gigs of RAM. How serious could it be? And especially when you need to do all that 3D layering. So how's that going to work? The 3D panning and the rendering, how's that going to work? I don't know. Whatever. Is it going to be jittery? Who knows? And it has a 4.7-inch screen, and a lot of people call that small. Now, I know that the 4-inch screen on the iPhone is small to today's standards. I use the iPhone. You get used to it. You squint a little bit, you get used to it after a while, right? I have a 4.7-inch screen with the Moto X. It's a perfect size because of the pixel resolution is not that dense, so you still get larger text, right? So that's all good. That's all good. You can make it small, 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 all you want, and you have more real estate. So, in my opinion, 4.7 inches is still that sweet spot for me. People are on 5.8 inches if you have the Note 3, 6.3 inches, I think, with the Samsung Mega, 5.1, 5.2 inches on the new Samsung phones and the HTC One models. So people are getting used to larger phones, and they're going back to 4.7, and they're like, that is a small phone. I don't want that screen. We're going backwards instead of forwards. Well, you got to remember that these guys want to have you use this phone for one purpose only. They want this to be a shopping hub for Amazon. They want you to purchase the apps from their app store, the books from the bookstore, the movies from the movie selection, the shows, and all that. They want you to purchase goods from the actual e-commerce side of Amazon, and just purchase your goods that way. They want you to have this with you all the time. You don't have your Kindle Fire with you all the time unless you have no life. You certainly can't carry around the Fire TV all the time. You just can't do it. And they realize we want something in the hands of people that they have all the time. What do you have with you all the time? Even when you go to the restroom? Your phone. And what do you do when you're on the toilet? Just saying you're on the toilet and you're like, I want to look and see what I can get. You know, it just hits you. It's a thinking spot for a lot of people. And you're like, maybe I want to purchase something. Maybe I want to do that. Let me go ahead and purchase something. And I have this Amazon phone. Hey, I have an Amazon phone in my hand. Why don't I go to Amazon and buy my stuff? That's a no-brainer. It's like whenever you think about buying something while you have this phone on your hand, you won't go look on eBay. You won't go look on Walmart.com. You won't look on Best Buy. You have an Amazon phone in your hand. You're going to go to Amazon, right? And then they have this feature on the phone that is dynamic perspective that adds dimensions to the phone UI, and it acts like Google goggles, right? It acts like Google goggles. So you have it in, you're like, and it's constantly. So it notices things that are going on. It always notices something. It's always on, right? And it notices things like this tissue that you might have, random things around the house. Walk around, and it notices these things, and it puts it into not a cart, but a virtual cart. It puts it in its memory, and it helps you procure the things that you use most. And Amazon a few months ago had a thing to where they had in the algorithm of Amazon to where they would assume what you use most, and they suggest it to you while you're on the site. So that's an awesome thing, right? Is it an awesome thing? It could be an awesome thing, and then some people can be like, well, it's an intrusion of my privacy. Well, look, you bought the phone, you know what you're getting into. So the specs of this thing is it's a 13 megapixel camera. That's good. good megapixel count because that's, around the standard today. 13, 16, 18. You're not going too crazy in the 30, 40 megapixel range. And then you have unlimited cloud storage if you get this phone, which is really good. So the cloud storage is really big. If you're a Prime member, you're probably going to be the ones to get this phone. But it is limited to AT&T. Now, why is it on AT&T, mind you ask? You might ask, why is it on AT&T? Of all carriers. Well, historically speaking, AT&T has been the carrier to have the exclusive rights to phones that are concepts, if you will. The first iPhone was, really a concept. That Apple thought it was going to be a smash, but not everybody else did, especially Verizon. They didn't really know how it was going to turn out. They were putting all their chips into BlackBerry at the time, and they really didn't know how it was going to turn out. So you had the two Facebook phones that failed miserably. You had the Galaxy Mega that nobody really has. Do you ever see anybody with a Galaxy Mega? No. You had a few other Samsung phones that come out. There are the variations to the Samsung phones. The Active, that's only on AT&T. You don't see people with those, but one or two people. So they have these concept phones that they love to have. They love to have these phones, and they welcome it. Let's see if we can sell it. But there's a reason why Amazon wanted to have it on AT&T and not, let's say, Verizon. Well, there's two reasons, actually. One reason is AT&T can be taken globally. You will never see a phone on Verizon that has the exact same bands as AT&T, and you could just easily take it globally. The iPhone has 3 different variations to it. So it can be on AT&T and T-Mobile, and it could be on Verizon and Sprint. And then some other crazy bands for the carriers abroad that have crazy bands that they use. Well, AT&T, they put a whole bunch of bands into this Fire Phone, so they can be on one carrier. You can use it abroad. They're going to have some type of international roaming plans, so you can use it abroad, and you don't have to worry about crazy bills. So they want you to take this everywhere, right? They want you to take this everywhere. Everywhere you go. Anywhere you go. Is the business people going abroad? Well, you might want to have something to buy before you go. It's all psychological, right? It's all psychological. They want this phone into a lot of countries. They want it everywhere. They want it everywhere. And this goes back to what they want to do with their whole drone delivery stuff. You're at work, you have your phone, you be like, oh man, I really need this delivered, blah, blah, blah. And then same day delivery, it just delivers like that. They want an entire ecosystem. So you see companies having major ecosystems. You see Google with Android and all the Google services. You see Apple with all their services. You see Microsoft, which are trying all their services. And you see, BlackBerry used to, but whatever. And you see all these things coming together in the cloud. Just everybody's taking advantage of the mobile, the desktop, the TV, the home security, and everything. The delivery, the e-commerce, and everything. They want to be your one-stop shop. Everybody wants to be your one-stop shop for everything. They want to be your virtual version of Walmart. So what do you have to do to be out Walmart? Because Walmart's not going to make a phone, or will they? So Amazon is the king of e-commerce. It's the king. The king. And they will do anything that they need to do to put something in your hand to where you continue that behavior, to keep going to Amazon. That is your go-to. Amazon is like the online Walmart, right? Sometimes they piss you off. Sometimes you like they have this minimum that you have to put in your carts for them to actually go through with the delivery now. It pisses me off. I just can't order one simple thing that's really cheap and just pay the shipping on that and they ship it. I have to have a minimum before they ungray out that checkout box, and I can just go out about my business and buy my stuff. And that pisses me off. But guess what? They have everything that you need, right? And just like the online Walmart. So the specs of this thing is again the 13 megapixels. It has the 2 gigs of RAM, 4.7 screen. Now pricing is the thing that is throwing me off about this. It seemed like a good idea until I looked at the pricing of it. It seemed like an awesome idea until I looked at the pricing of this thing. Man, look. So this is where they messed up. This is where they messed up, I feel. AT&T exclusive, and justifiably so. They felt that they can go with the pricing of it based on the storage, right? So they're like, we're going to offer you 32 gigabytes, and other people are offering you like 16, and that's going to be $199. Okay, but that's on contract. That's not like a Nexus 5. And we all assumed that the Amazon devices were going to be cheap. The Amazon Kindle Fire is cheap. The Kindle's cheap. The Fire TV is cheap. But when you get into the phones, they had to make a trade-off. They couldn't make a cheap phone, a cheap price phone. They had to sell out to a carrier so they can get eyes on it. Who else buys phones without actually seeing it unless they had a predecessor? I'm sorry. They had something to come before it, right? They had an example to come before it. The iPhone needed to be in the brick and mortar stores so people could go in and look at it. The Blackberries need to be in the stores for people to go in and look at it. They needed Amazon could have easily did this straight through their site, but people need to see the phone, use the phone to understand if they want to buy it or not, so they don't have a whole bunch of returns, right? So they have the 64 gig at the $299 price on contract also. Now you're like, okay, this makes sense. But what about those people that really want to buy it off contract? What about those people that just love the fact that they can just buy a phone and they assume that if it's from Amazon, they're going to follow Google's trait and make an affordable phone so they can get us in and then have us in the ecosystem, lock us in the ecosystem, and they get returned on their investments after that by us doing everything through Amazon. Well, sorry, it's not going to happen like that. So 32 gig off contract is $649 right up front, and the 64 gig phone off contract is $749. Good Lord! You know what you can buy for $749? You can get an iPhone 5s or the top tier and latest Samsung phone, whether it's the Note 3 or it's the Galaxy S5. You can also get the HTC One M8 for that same roundabout price. Now people thought it was going to be like the Moto X, which is slightly hovering around $300 off contract, or the Nexus 5, which is hovering around the same thing. People are disappointed. I want to say people are disappointed. Now, will this be just like the other AT&T exclusive? Will this be like the Facebook phone, which is a hit for a couple of weeks, then you never see anybody with it? Or will this be a hit and then other carriers want to get on board after the exclusivity is over? That'll be interesting. So we had the CEO of T-Mobile speak out about, like, why didn't we get a chance to get this phone? Why didn't we get a chance to see this phone? John Legere, and 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 I'm just like pronouncing his name all wrong, I'm sure, but He wants to basically have rights to the same things that the big guys have. Like, he's a big guy. He's the smallest out of the four major carriers, but he's like, yo, if AT&T gets it, why can't we get it? We have the similar bands. Why can't we just get it? And he's like, yeah, well, F you too, because that's how he speaks. That's how he speaks. It's like, why can't we get this? This is what we'll do. This will get him. Aha. Just going right into it. We got the T-Mobile, the stuff that came out this week. And T-Mobile, T-Mobile, John Ledger has been revolutionizing wireless for the past year and a half, I'll say. So he started the whole thing with the Uncarrier. John Ledger was the one that said no more contracts. You want to be out of your contract all the time, that's be fine, but you have to pay for your phone per month. And to be honest, T-Mobile was doing the monthly payment plans anyway with a lot of people. But they were still in a contract along with that, which was a like double hit. So so after you finish paying for your phone, which would take forever, then you still have to be in a contract and pay upgrade fee or whatever. Now, along with getting out of the contract business, just doing away with the contracts, you can upgrade your phone through T-Mobile Jump program every 6 months. So if you get tired of your phone or you just want to be up on the latest tech, after 6 months, go ahead and trade in your phone and get a new one. And just roll into new payments. It's awesome. So AT&T started it with AT&T Next. And you can do it every year now, not every 6 months. Sprint does it, but they do it terribly, so nobody cares and nobody ever talks about it. It's basically every year. A lot of fees behind it, so a lot of people don't do it. Verizon does it with Verizon Edge. I am a Verizon Edge member with the Moto X, and I'm almost at my halfway point. They say you're supposed to do it you can upgrade every year, but if you're halfway done with your payments for your phone, you can go ahead and purchase or trade in for another one. I'm almost there. So you pay per month, and it's all good. And I'm out of a contract with that particular line. So he started the entire revolution on wireless, and you gotta say John Ledger is like this crazy guy with long hair, and he has a leather motorcycle jacket on every time he's on stage. No matter how hot it is, this dude has on the leather jacket, and he always spits expletives every time he takes the stage. That's his thing. He said, I have an X-rated mouth. I do apologize, and he always apologizes after the fact. But because he just has Tourette's, and that's okay. He's very passionate about the things that he believes in, and that led to a lot of the things that we have seen today with the change in wireless carriers' behavior. He forced people's hands. Now, T-Mobile, and I wanted to talk about the segue was T-Mobile is doing something called Test Drive, and T-Mobile is going to let you get an iPhone 5S for a week. You try it out, they mail it to you, you use it for a week, you take it back to the store if you don't like it. If you do like it, you keep it, and then you sign up for an actual plan. Aha! If you keep it and you don't sign up for a plan, they charge you for the full price of the phone. I just wanted to put that out there first so people won't be like, oh, well, let me go ahead and try to beat the system. They do take your information first, okay? They do take your card information. They're not stupid. Now, and people are like, man, that'd be great. I really want to test drive T-Mobile service, but why do I have to do an iPhone? Why must I do an iPhone? Why not an Android phone? There's a statistic that came out, and about 85-89% of T-Mobile subscribers are Android users. And there is this there's this belief that even though T-Mobile has had the iPhone for over a year now, that they still don't offer it. So a lot of people think, oh, T-Mobile, I can't get the iPhone. I don't want to get there. Now they're trying to, and they can only do this with the approval of Apple. So the partnership that John Ledger went in and like, Apple, you know what? I want to sell more iPhones. I do apologize for everybody being on Android. I do apologize. I do apologize, but I want to help out, and I have a plan. Let's do it. Let's do this and see if it works. We want to see if we can get over 1 million test drives in a year. That means 1 million potential new iPhone users and a potential 1 million new subscribers to T-Mobile in a year's time. It works for you and it works for me. We'll do something that and it has clauses in here which we won't get, the backlash or see the negative consequences if this falls through and it doesn't work. So we're gonna have them test drive it for a week. We're gonna mail it to them. We're gonna mail the phone to them. They're gonna try it for a week. No risk, no charge, for free. They like it. They sign up for a plan. They keep it or just miraculously forget to sign up. And they're like, oh, I forgot to sign up. Thank you. So your phone will cut off first. So you won't be able to use it. So they have to sign up for the plan. And if they don't return it or try to use it on another carrier, they pay for the full price of the phone. Or if they don't pay for it, it goes in collections. And then, they charge it off and whatever. They don't lose money. This is awesome. This is an amazing thing. And I wonder how many people will take part in this. I really want to go to T-Mobile. T-Mobile is doing great things. They're starting voice over LTE, which is a new thing. So as it is as of last week and further in the past, technically you couldn't use voice over LTE. It's always a thought you can use simultaneous voice and data, but it was the way that the structure was. You had two different frequencies. You had the LTE bands and you had the GSM bands. Now the voice would be on the GSM bands and then the data would be on the LTE, but you could not do voice over LTE. So people were like simultaneous voice and data on AT&T and T-Mobile. Well, no, it wasn't. It was two different bands doing one purpose and one common goal, and it made it seem like it was. But in all essence, the LTE bands did not allow voice over IP. That's the easiest way to put it. So now T-Mobile is going to the game and like, yeah, let's do voice over IP, voice over LTE. They're doing it in the major markets. Atlanta's one of them. Love it. So basically, they're trying to keep their foothold on the revolution in wireless going, and they want to see what this is going to produce. Is it going to produce new subscribers? And I want to let you know that John Ledger is so smart that his revolution on wireless, his uncarrier tactics, his practice has given him over 2 million new subscribers in first quarter of 2014, which is more than all the other three major carriers, Verizon, Sprint, and AT&T combined. So his plan is working. So if you are a T-Mobile customer and you are worried about Sprint buying you out, let's put some things in perspective for you. There's some other news from T-Mobile I want to get to, but let's put this into perspective because I told somebody about this the other day, and they were like, well, Sprint's going to buy them out anyway. Let me put this into perspective, and let me clear a couple of things up that you might be worried about. You might not want to go to T-Mobile because you're like, maybe Sprint's going to own T-Mobile, so why would I do that? Let me explain something to you. SoftBank is the investment company from China that owns most of Sprint. Dan Hesse is the CEO of Sprint right now, but he's on a downward decline in popularity. So if, and I say if because the FCC has to pass the approval on this to make the deal go through. So this is a 50-50 chance it's not going to go through. And you remember last year, like late last year when I said that the Comcast Time Warner thing might not go through? It hasn't gone through yet. Okay? So the same thing with this. It could take a long time for it to go through. So basically, if it goes through, not when, but if it goes through, Dan Hesse is not going to be the CEO, and T-Mobile's not going to turn into Sprint. The practices will keep on with T-Mobile. John Ledger would be the presumed CEO of the combined companies, and he will keep the same practices going. So you don't have to worry about anything. Go to T-Mobile. Matter of fact, go to Sprint if you feel so inclined to do so, because things can only get better, right? The whole thing about that is that if they do combine, they're going to have and not name Sprint. They're going to either call it SoftBank USA or they're going to call it T-Mobile USA and do away with Sprint, just like Sprint did away with Nextel when they acquired them. But it's going to be reverse. It's going to be reverse. Like Sprint is not really going to acquire T-Mobile. It's SoftBank, which owns most of Sprint. So when someone asks you about that or talks about the rumors, say it's not Sprint that's going to buy T-Mobile. It's SoftBank. It's the Chinese investment company that is going to potentially buy T-Mobile, and then they're going to help T-Mobile rise to the level that they want them to become what they want them to. And John Ledger is going to be at the helm and continue to be radical and passionate and say F, F, F every time he gets a chance to say F on stage. Every announcement he's going to say F-bomb. Now, that was a whole bunch of cheerful good. Now let's get into the maybe not so good. At the surface, it sounds good, right? What I'm about to say. So, T-Mobile is going to help you subscribers that don't have the unlimited data package with them to stream music on an unlimited cap. But there is not all music streaming apps are created equal. Not all music streaming apps are created equal. And I don't know if you guys know about net neutrality, and if you don't, the gist of it is all rules apply to everybody. No, not over here to where these people get whitelisted and they can do whatever they want, and these over here can't. So you can't. So as an example, Comcast can't block Netflix, but at the same time let anything go on Hulu on the streaming. So they can't have your data allotment on Comcast count against you using Netflix, but it won't do anything on Hulu. So the whole net neutrality thing is in question now, since you have some apps, some music streaming apps that can be streamed unlimitedly. And I'll go through the major ones. The ones that you don't know of, I'm not going to mention, okay? But there's only a select few. So Pandora, Rhapsody, and Rhapsody just reworked their app on T-Mobile so it can take advantage of this. iTunes Radio, which arguably sucks, so it doesn't matter. People don't really use it anyway. Spotify is the big guy. Spotify is the big boy here. So you can stream Spotify all you want on T-Mobile, and you don't have to have unlimited data, and it won't count against you. And iHeartRadio. Now you notice I didn't say Google Play Music. That's kind of weird, isn't it? That's kind of weird. So you're allowing iTunes Radio, which is only available on iOS devices, which is roughly 10% of the entire subscriber base. They're not worried about it. But around 89% of the subscribers are Android users. Why would they not let Google Play Music be whitelisted? And I know a lot of people that use Google Play Music. Just stream the heck out of that thing. Because if you have an Android phone, why not? Why not create a radio station just to let it stream? It's just like iTunes Radio. It's just like Pandora. It operates the same. If you have the subscription service with Google Play Music, you have the all access. You can get all the albums you want. You can get the latest albums and listen to the album. You can do your whole playlist and all that. It's crazy. And what if you want to go on iTunes and just stream the stuff over the phone, and after you purchase them, you just streaming them? What is the difference? So the whole net neutrality discussion comes in because this violates it. No matter how much they try to color code this, it violates net neutrality, and I'll tell you why. You can't have one app be treated one way, another app be treated another. The whitelist conversation is a red flag and lets you know that this violates net neutrality. So as much as we are rooting John Ledger on with the revolution in wireless, he took a big step back on this one, for me at least, and for you guys that really keep up with the net neutrality conversations, because it is important. Look at it. It really is. Net neutrality is important. I've been trying to drill this in people's heads for a while. You stay on the sidelines and say it doesn't affect me, but it is going to affect you one day, and it's going to affect your pocket, because you're going to be like, why can't I watch my 4K video or my 3D video on Netflix without being capped, and then but I can watch Hulu all I want, but I don't want to watch Hulu. I don't want to do that. That's just like you being said that I want to watch in over the air programming. I want to watch CBS, but I can only watch it so much. And versus I want to watch ABC, I can watch it all the time. I pay for HBO, but I can only watch it so much. But I pay for Showtime, and I can watch it all the time, right? That's the whole debate. Two different things being treated differently on the internet versions of this. So I can go on Amazon all I want on my phone, on my Amazon Fire phone, but if I try to use or go on and shop on Walmart.com, they suddenly charge me data. See, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. When you think about it from that aspect, it directly violates net neutrality. So some of these people don't care. So here's the thing. The people that really care about this and stream music like that, guess what? Here's the upside of it. You probably have the unlimited plan already on T-Mobile, which is the $80 plan. Paid T-Mobile, $80, you don't have to worry about it. You can stream all the Google Play you want. No cap. No cap, dog. No cap. Just saying. That's all I got to say about that. No cap. So today's show is sponsored by you guys. You guys, you loyal listeners on Facebook, on Twitter, on Google Plus, people that look at the blogs, people that subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys because there was a lot of changes that went through for the show. A lot of changes that went on. And I did the daily thing, I did the 1 week thing, I did the morning thing, I did the night thing, I did the Sunday thing, I did the Monday thing, I did the blah blah blah, I did the Friday thing, which was the latest. Now I'm back on the original time, which is 10:30 on Saturday mornings, so you can wake up and listen to tech news. I just want to thank you guys for listening. The show has done many changes. Comedy had people on. It got away from the tech aspect of it. It kind of lost its luster, and I felt like I couldn't be me anymore. and the way that I wanted to deliver the show, and I had to take a break, a short break. But the MavCast is back, people. The MavCast is back. So, with that being said, subscribe to the show, subscribe to the blog, themavcast.blogspot.com. Subscribe to the other blog for the entire channel, Living Room Productions podcast channel. You search for that on Blogger. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the other guys that we. So there's a new show that we're gonna do, right? There's a new show that we're gonna do. Me and Harry, that is the host of the Summer Blockbuster movie review. It's called This Crazy World, and we're gonna talk about some serious stuff, but add some humor to it because that's the type of guys that we are. That's the type of guys that we are. We just find humor in things. But it's going to be things that are controversial. Things that you can't say at work because you can't talk about politics and religion at work. We're not at work. We're not going to be offensive to anyone, but we're going to put things into perspective. You know, I'm the kind of conspiracy theorist, and he's the realist. He's the kind of guy that has the facts laid out. He explains the facts, and I'm the naysayer. I try to stay positive. I try to find a middle ground, but you know what? Sometimes I'm just that type of guy that reflects a lot of the population. I want to put my feet in the majority of the population shoes that are always like leery about stuff. What if this happened? What if this happened? So he's gonna shed some light on the facts. I am going to shed some light on the nuance. All right. So be sure to tune into that. The dates will be coming for the broadcast of This Crazy World, and I'm really excited about that. He came to me and we were like, yeah, we gotta do a show about a discussion we had on a past show, and you know, I really liked the transition and the back and forth, and it seemed like it was a good step. A step in a good direction. So you guys look out for that. Make sure that you tune in next week for the summer blockbuster movie review, because hey, those guys are doing Transformers. The movie that you've been waiting for, the movie I've been waiting for since the last one. And this is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great, and I hope you guys tune in, man. Look, it's the MavCast. Thank you for tuning in. I'll be back next week, or maybe earlier, because Google I/O is this coming week, and there's a lot of stuff I gotta talk about. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So for all my gadgets, the Chromebook, I'm still rocking the original Nexus 7, iPhone 5S, and the Moto X, and this laptop that I'm using to broadcast, which I really can't show because I'm using the laptop. Oh, and hey, if anybody want to go into podcasting, you see this mic? This is the Blue Snowball. I love it. It works well. Plug and play with USB. Use that. There's also the Yeti, the one that Jimbo Banks uses. Great sound quality. Go ahead and pick those up, and be sure to tune into all the shows, you guys. Thank you again for listening. You know, I really missed you guys. I really did. I miss you guys. Thank you for listening. Oh my God. It's the MavCast, man. I'm out.